Captain, leave me in the comments that comes to mind when I mention the name of this Fatui and this character too. And at hype level, I think he's one of the most hyped characters in the last Genshin Impact. Why do you think the captain will tell me the Spanish translation is still captain? And today we're going to see a spin around lore and important things, including marketing and finally a little speculation. So if you have hype for this character, this is your video. Leave a good like, good Bennett option, subscribe, and leave a good comment for the algorithm. Thank you for enjoying and watching the video channel. Thanks for all the support and love. Honestly, you know, it doesn't cost anything. It's totally free. So, like, subscribe to Bell. This is the moment when I look you right in the eye and tell you now. Thank you. Thank you from the entire channel team. Welcome and guests to the direct. Okay. And let's go with a piece of video that I had a lot of desire to do, but I was just waiting a little bit for it to happen a little bit. The time of arrival of the mission of Captain. Well, number 1, counter in the comments of how many times I say Captain in this video. I'm probably past 30 and 40. Number 2, very important. Keep in mind that in this video I will not make hard spoilers of the plot of the main mission. So buddy, it's about time you did the mission. But I'm going to make soft spoilers of those who won't disembowel you with anything important, of which many people will find it curious and interesting to see. So if you did not do the mission, go do it or get ready not to be mini-miniating in the comments. You mini-mini-doy. Shut up and you can do the mission, man, since it's about time, which is amazing. Which is the best mission there's ever been in Genshin Impact, and you're here without doing it yet. What game do you play? Alright, that's the first and most important thing. Step on to start the video. Number 1, the marketing you're doing around the character is very interesting, because it consists of the following. Many have realized that there is a rumor, and you know that all that is a leak is subject to change, and this rumor doesn't even circulate through official sources of Cap. And it's a rumor in addition with information that contradicts itself, which often happens constantly and especially in this class. I think it's part of Genshin's marketing, and it's news that Captain won't be playable. I think many of you have heard Captain won't be playable. Captain won't come. Captain Mini-Mini, and I want to remind you that the same thing was said perfectly with Alakino. Some points were thought that Zumiru would come to Dotor and never came. It was said that it would never be playable, Alakino, and in the end, yes, it was playable. I remember it was also said that at the end of Sumeru would come to Datora, and yet in the end, came to Scaramouche. And let us also remember that in each of the versions at the end, we have always come a playable Fatui from Inazuma, where literally Signora wasn't playable, but it was literally unplayable. And yes, Signora is an alter of Cocolia, Starrail, and other characters who also exist in the universe of Hoyoverse in The Honkai Impact 3rd. It is a canon character that as long as it appears in the plot then disappears and then never returns. This is not spoiler, this is part of saying the alters and characters that are always repeated in the plots of the games. It's not something new and it's not a spoiler, it's probably more than 5 years before Genshin Impact. Well, marketing around Capitano is starting to say it's not going to be playable. It's not going to be playable, it's not going to be playable, it's not going to be playable, but from no specifically confirmed source. What happens to this? That basically this feeds the hype of people, and people also by having this bias from when they say no to something I love more when they tell me that something is going to be impossible for me because it ends up being a desire a lot. More yearn for that romantic and bohemian eagerness of the impossible, it ends up generating many more expectations in people. And when? Maybe over there on 4.6, no, I'm not the ugly one, I'm just saying one example. That's 4, well sorry, 5.6 or 5.7 bring us Captain's banner, which I don't know if it will be real. But marketing is setting it up for people to increase their desires for the character. Now, after the plot of the impossible, following the line of marketing, let's talk about evangelization. As I say, at this point I'm going to talk about evangelization and about things we have seen in the main mission. There are 2 things that won't take your sleep, either who did the mission, but that are basic to understanding this marketing. And it's, number 1, they're playing with the character's motivations that are interesting, and as we see, Captain has even more desires than Mavuika herself, and is the character we know in the plot that is literally most interested. To save NATLAN? Suddenly, without knowing anything of Captain's past, but knowing the context of the fatuous and knowing what we're supposed to be told and is related both in books and stories, as well as in NPCs as in a lot of information. Before Captain has gone from being a ruthless being, from being the most powerful human in all of Tivat, and from being, literally, something that if I mention very much with hair signals and details in the video, maybe even YouTube demonetizes me the video, has suddenly become the person who is most worried about saving NATLAN. He's the person who is willing to do more than Alcante herself to save NATLAN. In two concrete parts of the plot, soft spoilers come, but not the hard ones of the important. Turns out Captain sets aside all his interests to be a Fatui and all his, say, context of evil aura and its general darkness to help and save characters from the plot where everyone. After seeing the mission, we stayed saying evangelization again. Why is not there a character who does what he has? Why are the Fatui getting, say, closer to each other? Obviously, they're doing it to sell, aren't they? Nothing because they're realistic and because they're bad and it's okay and there's a point. And here I'm done with the soft spoilers, where it almost looks like he's going to kiss Mavuika. There's a point where it almost looks like Mavuika and Captain are made for each other and they're getting married. It just needs Captain literally, and this is already one thing I'm going to say, it's not a spoiler, because I don't know the story. It's not going to happen and it hasn't happened. I'm making this up. I don't know if, maybe it's a mission? If on 5.2 or 5.3 this happens, don't come to the video, don't take this capture, I'm not the ugly one. I'm speculating nothing else. But they literally have gone from one thing to another in a moment. Itan's a good plot within what fits and is not wrong. But they are evangelizing the character as they did Arlequino. And this is important that I tell you because they are two steps. Very important marketing to pose a situation where we want to throw. Next point and we finish this. Ita's basically the design. In my opinion, the design, and this is a perspective, with which this does not have to be a reality or an absolute truth. In my opinion, and I do not know why, ever since I saw him on the mission, it seems to me to be the best male design in Genshin Impact. And that also combines with Mavuika's design, which in my opinion is also the best female design of all Genshin Impact. But the video is from Captain. I think Captain is literally the best design. I said once in a video not, on a stream, that I personally do not like to make cosplay. I have been asked to do it endless times, cosplay rightly, cosplay of this and of the other. I have not. I have given the possibility with some challenge that has not been a compliment, but I once said on stream that if I ever made a cosplay, the only character I would cosplay would be literally Captain Dionisia. I love it. It does the design that I like most personally. I ask you there, what do you think of the design? I think it's a design that's too spectacular to waste. It's a design that's too amazing to be a playable character in the end. And all this is to tell you the conclusion, and now I'm talking about speculation of what's really said could come. And all these factors determine, and I think that this is a good thing for you. I think I'm pretty sure with these signals that it's going to be playable at some point in the plot. NATLAN, Tok, Tomya, and Deo. That Captain will be a banner character, and that you will all be able to enjoy this character as Arlequino. I hope I'm not mistaken and it's speculation and it's a triple and I could be perfectly wrong. But these signs, in my opinion, denote that Hoyoverseus is wanting to pose a silent marketing about the character. And now, finally, to finish the video. Speculation of what could become Captain. Many of you have already put it in the comments, and that rumor, as always, and all the leaks, you can tell that they come out of Hoyoverseus and people who some claim to be underground internal workers. They don't know the source of information they have, but it can be seen that it's Hoyoverseus himself to go watering things always meticulously. At the convenience of the company and the summary of what Captain is supposed to do. Very speculative, I'm making it all up. It's basically that in theory it can become a physical DPS or sub-DPS. That is beautiful to the reactions of electrocharged more overload that benefit the Raiden National and benefit characters. like Mavuika that can overload more vaporized on electrocharged and be able to make equipment of a carry hydro with Auroron. Mavuika and a last supporting character like Shilonen, who is an amazing new NATLAN character, or some equipment basically electrocharged plus overload and vaporized that benefit the Archante. In short, they also make us explain Hoy Overseas' future plans with the other part of the Bufo to reactions. Because they've buffeted the icebreaker reaction and the superconductor reaction. And just maybe, we don't know, we can get to have some character in NATLAN, and it may or may not be Captain. But it is speculated that this around Captain is also so, that it is physical or that it can even be played icebreaker, or take advantage of the reaction and superconductor equipment, or something similar. To make ice break, you have to play permafrost and break with a heavy attack that permafrost. But to finish the video, not only Captain God, but Captain is said to be a physical character. It's going to be a power creep of Eula, and for God's sake, I hope it's interesting and the least useful. Not that he stays like a character that nobody used in the end, and that wasn't that interesting. I'm sorry for the Eula Ghost watching this video. I also have Eula the free to play and I used it once, but it doesn't give the performance to make it work anymore, if it doesn't have Constellation. If you want to treat the physicist well, do something spectacular, and those of us Mika chicks are waiting for Captain. It's not, as I say, with soft stuff with strong spoilers in the plot, but the triple that Captain might try to give his life, sacrifice himself for Natla, is simply a speculation of mine that can come to pass in the future, because it is what seems literally from. And for the rest, I leave it to your interpretation, because we have little information on Captain. But the one we have is very good and very forceful. Good editing and subscribe. Leave good comment for channel. Thank you for the video and the channel. Thank you for all the love and support.